Okay.
No, you can chill for a sec. It's cool.
It's starting to get going. Just hanging out here with a cat
You're so funny how you narrate everything.
at a restaurant. I know.
The cat's had a long night.
Yeah, the cat's obviously had a long night.
If this cat could only talk.
All right, buddy. Here we go. We're gonna transition. We're gonna move.
Cool. Some good responses from that document already.
Already nice.
Good document. This is my creative consultant. Good document / articulated vision. This is what they say when they say things are coming together or rounding into form. God, my phone's all fucked. Keep up the good work, and a money infusion is highly likely to find you like lightning finds a way to strike the ground. Well put, pal.
Nice.
Evelyn, sweet bro, looks good. I already have a few people in mind to share. Mom. Yeah, cause my meditation practice, I guess, was very gradual. I've been doing yoga. My mom introduced me to yoga when I was 19. Slowly stopped bodybuilding and lifting weights and running, and before I knew it, I was only doing that. But I also started drinking and smoking cigarettes at 19 too. So it was like a battle.
Interesting.
You know? And yoga finally won. I don't really smoke anymore, and I don't really find myself drinking by choice anymore as often as I used to.
aside from last night.
It wasn't by choice, man. I was force-fed that shit.
Yeah,
by the Nepalis.
That's true. Yeah, they just started it off.
Dude.
Yeah, me too, dude. That's funny, huh?
Let me know if this red light goes off, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so, I never meditated before, and I went to this healing retreat center in Mexico, and I worked there for a bit.
Oh, really?
And we, had to meditate every morning, and, he kind of tried to make it like a temple.
Huh.
And I didn't really get it. I wasn't into it. But I had always been into savasana, which is the dead man's pose at the end of a yoga practice. That's a meditation.
Final
too.
relaxation.
I just never realized it was meditating. And the times where I'd get really deep into it, and I would come back afterwards and be like, holy shit, I was gone.
Meditation.
I would always feel really good after that. And I would be like, wow, what a great yoga practice, But I would never realize that was meditation. I just thought that came from a great yoga practice. Then I just went to India. So then I came to Nepal, right? And singing bowls and this and that, different ways to calm down. Then in India, I studied informally the Yoga Sutras and traditional yoga. And I realized that state that you get into after a good yoga practice is a meditative state. It's in a lot of ways it can be also falling asleep if you're not careful. But basically it's a lot more powerful and easier to activate after yoga, after you open up those channels in your body.
For sure. That and a lot of Westerners too, our minds are so busy, it's just such it's just such a habit for our minds always to be bouncing around, that I find I find it's easiest for me to get into a meditation after a dirt bike ride or mountain bike ride or paraglide, just something that kind of
mellowed you out or something?
What's that?
It mellowed you out?
Yeah. Something that kind of mellows me out afterwards and focuses my awareness. It keeps my awareness just snapped in the moment, and it helps pre-clear all the bullshit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then it's easy to sit down and meditate because you're already sort of pre-cleared and your brain's been used to not think, just talk or whatever. Your brain's your mind's kind of.
I know in a lot of ways too. I think people have different ways of meditating, because I think a lot of people meditate and they don't even know it, because all it really is zeroing in on something, focusing hard.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
Oh, I haven't put any money in it yet.
Okay.
Another false alarm.
We might order more.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dad, for example, he does 3 hours of cardio per day and shit.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of times he can't go do that, from what he's told me. He can't go do that until he's worked or written out something or done something before.
Oh yeah.
He needs to focus first on something. Then his mind is relaxed. Okay, I did that. It's cool. and then he can go do cardio. And that's just something I've always thought about. He told me that, and like that's kind of like his meditation. In a lot of ways, like I can't just sit down and meditate. I can or wake up and meditate. I can wake up and go do yoga or something,
Right.
and then meditate, or wake up and work on something and then meditate / do yoga. But I can't just like get up and immediately do it. Like, but they say that's what you should do. I don't know.
That's always hard for me too, to get right up and meditate. Like it's hard for I don't know. I just don't find it as easy to like get into a meditative state.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting.
There's
There's also something like, speaking of the Vedas, like how they have different like energies for different parts of the days, and they say it's best to meditate before like from 4 to 6 a.m. because I think that's the vata energy,
Yeah.
the mind, but it's just the air. Yeah, it's just more of like a lighter, airy, more energized.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the morning, and then that comes again later in the afternoon, huh? Or at night. When does it come again?
When does it come again? I think it comes.
Sometimes.
I can't remember, man.
Yeah, I gotcha. And so if you're waking up,
I think it comes at like 6 at night or something. 6 to 10.
If you're waking up in the fucking mid-afternoon, early afternoon, mid-morning, that's the pitta, where you're active and you need to be doing something.
I think that's
So that's why it's harder to meditate.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Fucking, so then I went to India and I learned that, like, because in traditional yoga, it's like mind training, right? It's like you don't start practicing asana exercise until you've trained your mind.
Oh, yeah?
And then once you've trained your mind to, like, live the right way, think the right way, blah, 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 then you can do that. And then you keep going from there, like your spiritual evolving, evolution, whatever. Like, it keeps going. And then there's, after asana, I think that's the 4th branch. There's yama, niyama, yama. So like external world, internal world, how you think about things, how you act towards things, non-violence. They're like the rules to live by. Then there's what? I think then there's asana. Then there's pranayama, breathing, pranayama. Then there's pratyahara, which is withdrawal from the senses of perception. Then there's dharana, which is, before that is concentration, which is, is that pratyahara? God, man, I was studying this so hardcore and now it's just gone. Pratyahara is withdrawal from the senses. Dharana is meditation, and after that is samadhi, which is union. Samadhi is like you're just one. That's that really good after yoga. Then you're gone and you feel so good after. That's samadhi, right? That's like the goal. And the idea is that you can achieve that in life. You can achieve that on a micro scale, like after a yoga practice, because you've been living right, you've been thinking right, you've been eating right, you got a good yoga practice, your mind's clear, and then boom, you achieve that union that with God, with the divine. Or you do that in life, so where at a certain point you're just always like that.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing about like a good meditation practice too. Like, where if you're able to like sink down into that state of union, because that's what we're made out of, like that's what's there, deep down at our core. And if you can sink down to that over and over and over again, like I think your brain starts to develop like neural nets of awareness, and it becomes more like present in your everyday life. You feel it more, your awareness is more aware of it more often,
So ever since I read that in the Yoga Sutras, it made my meditation practice become more clear, because then I realized, because before I went to India, when I was in Nepal the first time with Evelyn, I didn't have anywhere to do yoga. I was only meditating every morning for like half an hour. I would lie down and meditate. I'd put on binaural beats or something and I'd lie down, and I was like getting okay at it, but I wasn't very good. Then I did yoga again, asana, and I was like, holy shit, this is great. It's so much easier to meditate after,
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so then, after studying traditional yoga and learning that there's different facets of it and different kind of steps that you can tweak to follow, to get there, I realized that I have different levels of awareness for how, like, not necessarily deep a meditation goes, but how I react to a meditation. So I've been noticing recently that, like, I don't need to be high on marijuana to have a really good meditation, right? I react to it more intensely with marijuana. It helps me focus. It helps me concentrate. Helps me get in that zone. And once I get into that zone, beyond the mind, floating, I can like be in that concentrated state easier with weed, right? When I'm not with weed, I can't get in that state as easily. However, I can tap into it. I don't even know how to explain it, but like, I still get the same effect out of it at the end. It's just not like, when you're high with anything, it's way more intense. You're like, holy shit. Same thing with the meditation. But then when I don't have the weed, I still accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
Just my reaction is different.
Yeah.
So then even if I don't quiet my mind completely for a long time, but my attention's there, I'm sitting there for 10 or 20 minutes, and I'm like, okay, And I comes back and forth. The thoughts come in, I get them out, thoughts come in.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I just feel really good anyway.
Yeah.
I did it, And before, I would think that I had to have like weed to really feel good after, and then I realized I just feel good after because I smoke weed.
Well, the thing too, right? That's funny. Yeah, the thing too about meditation is like when you do sink down and meditate, I think it's a little bit like the process of sleeping too, where your brain starts to. It's like a
goes on a theta wave, delta wave.
Well, not I don't know. Yeah, but my point being is like I think the goal is to like start to sink down and become aware of like what we're made of, that true self, like that love and that joy, that connected energy that we're all built out of, and everything's made out of, in the world and the universe. But on a lesser scale, like when you meditate every time, sometimes it's like I think it's an opportunity for your brain to sort out its thoughts and start like releasing what it doesn't need and just sort of come back into osmosis, into balance, and so that's like that process of that's like the like where meditations start a lot is like you have all forms of meditation, like meditation share all different techniques of meditation share commonalities. So one commonality is every form of meditation has got sort of a beacon that you gently bring your awareness back to when your thoughts and stuff take over. That beacon can be a mantra, that beacon can be sensations in your body, that beacon can be, just like people stare at a candle sometimes and do that, like a literal, beacon, visual beacon, but that can be your breath, like every type of meditation has got some sort of like a beacon to come back to, and then that helps you like, when your thoughts start drifting, it helps you sort of like learn to watch your thoughts just like separate from, just to be the consciousness watching your thoughts, not to give them energy, not to feed them, not to become like involved in them, like not to choose to become involved in them. Sometimes they just happen. But then when you need to come back, then you can just sort of like watch them pass, kind of let it go, and then come back to this mantra, this thing,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's like a natural process. Our brain's got to release all these different thoughts and sort things out sometimes to settle down.
Yeah, and that's what I come back to. And I think we were talking about this, or I was talking about it last night. Like, we kind of have these ideas of how the process should be based on like history of kind of bullshit hierarchies, in our society of saying, oh, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
You're not doing it this way, you're not doing it right.
Right.
But like the modern mind is so crazy different from how it was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is Osho's thing too. So Osho developed these meditations, active meditations.
Oh, cool.
This is what got me into meditation, actually. At that same place in Mexico, like those silence, sitting there for 20 minutes just wasn't doing it for me.
Yeah.
It does it for me now, and I enjoy it. But Osho's thing was, we're modern humans. We can't just sit there and do it. So he developed these things where you do breath of fire, like, or you do it through your mouth. So actually more oxygen comes in than out, so you get high. Within 5 minutes of doing that, you get pretty high. And you keep doing it for roughly 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And once you stop, you're fine in the middle of it. And the idea is, there's so much oxygen in there, it fucking stops thoughts.
Oh, yeah?
Like, it's changing the chemistry of your brain,
Oh, crazy.
You're bringing all these oxygen molecules in there. And as they say, oxygen is the molecule of life, right? Water, air, it's pretty much the foundation of our life, of our kind of life form. Anyway, so you bring that in, and this is called like holotropic breathwork and other forms, which I think Freud used it in psychology, and there's different shamanic practices with it. but it's really healing.
Uh-huh.
So on one level, they say it alkalizes your body. All the oxygen molecules alkalize your body. And it also can kill cancer cells or any kind of living thing inside you that doesn't belong. Can't handle in an over-oxygenated atmosphere like that. Yeah,
that's
so it dies
interesting.
off. This is just what I heard. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
So anyway, OSHO had these meditations where you do that, and then because you're breathing like that from your navel, it activates all your sexual energy. And the philosophy here is that the sexual energy is the most powerful energy in the universe because it creates life. And we live in such repressed cultures, we don't tap into that energy often.
Yeah.
Because that sexual energy, that second chakra energy and first chakra energy, that's life, it's creativity, it's any kind of like life force, it's any kind of web, you know? It's like, so money's involved with that kind of energy, like anything that is life-bringing or life-sustaining. So the idea of his meditations where you do that breathing for a long time, and then you can also focus on chakras. You're still meditating on your body while you do this.
Right.
And the cool part about it is that breathing, like especially when you're first learning how to do it, you have to focus on it. So by focusing on it, you're meditating on it. Your mind stops. And so by the time you're like just doing it, there's so much oxygen in you that you don't really think anyway.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point of catharsis where you're so high, you'll do anything. You'll do fucking anything. And it's a really powerful state. You start dancing, you start fucking hitting things, you like scream, you cry.
That's his idea, yeah?
Well, this was the next step in these, catharsis. So you go into catharsis. So once you're high from like half an hour doing that, then you dance or you whatever. You let your body express yourself. And because your mind is so quiet, your body will intuitively do what it needs to do to heal. Yeah. Meaning you'll do the movements that like activate some part of your body that you needed to activate to clear some stagnation.
Oh, that's cool.
You know?
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I've been doing this for years, so I'm a big believer in it. It feels really good. And you could do this naturally too, but you have to allow yourself to just be free, which a lot of people aren't good at doing.
For sure.
So what you do is you activate that energy, that navel energy, which is really powerful. And then by doing the dancing and stuff, you're getting it, you're moving it. It's moving around your body. And then you just stop. And so he had like 4 or 5 different styles of meditations that became popular. There may have been more, but basically then you just stop and you just stand still for 10 minutes. And so that's the absorption period where all that energy just absorbs into your body, right? And you close your eyes and you feel it. And once again, like your mind is so quiet from the oxygen and the breathing that you're just so tuned in to all the energy flowing around your body. And then you lie on the ground and you're just gone. It's really cool. You smoke a joint before doing that, it's the trippiest shit ever, man.
Oh, man.
Because you get so engrossed in the breath. Like if you stop breathing in the middle of it, suddenly you feel it. And suddenly you feel like you lose feeling here, you lose feeling here.
Crazy.
And if you didn't know what to expect, you freak out. Because like, holy shit, I think I did something wrong. This wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You know? And like it's uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
And then emotions start coming out. You want to cry, you want to scream, you want to do something, and you let it go.
Yeah.
And afterwards, dude, I call it the spiritual orgasm. This is tantra right here.
Oh, yeah.
You activate all these chakras, you let it all go. Fucking spiritual orgasm, man. Afterwards, this happened to me 3 times in Mexico. I was at such bliss the rest of the day, it was uncomfortable. Like my ego tried to get in, my mind tried to it couldn't get in. And I didn't know what to do. I just sat there all day just staring, and I was completely content. I could never fucking do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, there were all these volunteer girls that normally, like, bothered me when they tried to do shit that they knew I didn't like or whatever. They couldn't bother me. Like, all this stuff that was, like, normally in my routine day-to-day life, shit that, like, got to me, couldn't get to me.
Yeah.
It freaked me the fuck out. And I did that, like, a few times, the spiritual orgasm. And that's when I realized, like, what they say. You need to know it exists. Like with psychedelics, right? Yeah. You know it exists. It's not an all the time thing, but you know it exists.
But it could be. I mean, I think that's the difference between that and psychedelics. Like,
but like psychedelics, you can't be ODing on oxygen all day.
Oh, the oxygen thing. I see what you're saying.
Because that's how I got there.
Right.
Yeah. No, but the state could be definitely.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. All right. Oh yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of sitting here speaking of meditation, you know, I'm just sitting here just kind of
narrating.
No, just like sinking down into a really settled state with that Xanny you gave me from the hangover. So
you're meditating on it.
That's what.
See, that's what got me thinking this morning because we were talking about it. It's like, okay, I'm on this substance, or I'm coming down off this substance, and now I'm gonna meditate, right?
Yeah.
I used to think in the past that no, I can't meditate when I'm drunk, or I can't meditate when I'm hungover, and maybe a lot of people would think that. And it's not that you can't. Maybe it wouldn't be as effective because you're like disconnected from your body, and meditation is a whole union of all the parts of yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious now. I'm like, what if I take a Xanax and try to meditate? Would I just be pushing it out of me? You know what I mean? Like, that's how powerful the body is. It just chooses not to have those chemicals affect me because I don't know.
I mean, of course it would be affecting you to some degree, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think, well, back to meditating on substances. Whenever I meditate, like, even if I feel pretty like normal and straight, like on the surface, like walking around through everyday life, whenever I sink down into a meditation, like I'm much more aware of like subtly what the drug is doing inside of me. I'm like, oh yeah, it is really there working. I just don't have the full enough awareness normally, just walking around to notice it as much. Yeah. But
so the question is, if by meditating on that drug's effect on you, that subtle effect, does that qualify as a meditation? Like, why wouldn't it?
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
It's like the hierarchy thing. Like, by reading yoga, traditional yoga, or by reading guru shit, you would think like, no, that's not a real meditation because it's not, I don't know, bringing you closer to God or some shit. It's like, well, you're becoming hyper aware of something. You're focusing in. You're concentrating. That's meditation, right? Yeah.
Well, no. Here's what I want to say about meditation. Just for your video. I'll tell you like my experiences. Where do I start here? Let's see. So, okay. So when you meditate, like I say, like they give you like a mantra or a beacon to come back to, right? And that's how it starts. But really, like all like I think most meditations, aside from like that oxygen thing and stuff, which sounds really cool, but I think most meditations, like the best way or the goal is to sort of make it an effortless process. Like you can't really try to like get yourself into a state, and you can't have really expectations. But if you make it an effortless process and you close your eyes and you start to meditate, like I found like there's different layers to your mind that you start going through, and one is like the first one starts out as a very intellectual surface layer, where you're really aware of just your mind as it works and your body as it is. But then after a while, like if you keep doing your meditation process and you relax and you just allow your awareness to sink down where it naturally goes, then you start to go through this other layer, and it's all of a sudden like a lot of times I almost shift into it, and it's like sometimes the transition period getting down to the next layer is like awkward and uncomfortable for a while, and sometimes it happens quick, but then I sink into this other like more fine layer of like more of an energetic layer. So I'm still aware of my body a lot of times, in my physical body and in my mind, but all of a sudden my mind shifts to this more energetic, like lighter. All of a sudden, like a lot of that's when I shift into this next layer, like I don't experience a lot of like negative emotions anymore. Like everything's just like lighter. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then I think as you keep like going down deeper and deeper and deeper, like eventually you hit this place and you just feel the nature of what we're made of. You don't necessarily, most of the time I don't think you feel like you don't like disappear out of your body most of the time and like feel like the core. Well, not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, we're just chilling.
No, take your time.
All right. Standing by. So not always like do you feel, do you sink down so deep that your body disappears and you're just aware, you're just this energy that exists everywhere and is what everything's made of, this magical energy. I think that's a pretty, or at least for an everyday person or someone like me and you that doesn't practice meditation all the time, that's a pretty special and somewhat rare experience. But what you do is you get closer to the core of your humanity. And as humans, I think we all have this core. Like this is what we really are. And as you get closer to that, like not only is it very healing and good for you and but really it's like it's our nature, and you start to sense this love, this connectedness, this just you when you start to learn about your true self and your true nature, you know, that's deep inside, and that's not something you come up with in your mind. That's not your personality, but that's what we're made of, you know, and that's the kind of things that you know that drives the good things in the world. You know, it's love and it's connectedness and it's peace, and it's just inherently it's totally sane. It's an expanded awareness, you know, and you start to just innately know that this is the core of humanity, you know, right here. And I think that perspective and realization is just a very powerful thing. And also, like, I've had experiences in meditation where I just totally, like, sometimes it starts happening with my hands, like, where they'll feel as big as a car, small as a thumbtack, they'll bounce back and forth, and then sometimes I'll all of a sudden, like, the feeling of, like, my arm will disappear or something and just turn into this energy, and it's like this magical, it's really hard to put into words, especially while I'm just on Xanax, a little disconnected, you know, but with a hangover, yeah, but basically, you know, it's really we're made out of, like, so much more than I think our minds can fathom or even understand. We're made out of, there's some magical, creative energy in the world that we're all made out of at our core, and it's different from our personalities and all that stuff. It's completely different, and we all share it, you know, but we're so much more like, you know, energetic stardust or whatever the fuck you want to call it than most people ever even get a glimpse of in their life, and I think it would just absolutely blow people's minds if they did get it. It blows my mind when I get a glimpse of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's the most powerful thing I've ever experienced.
And it's crazy because, like, you know, like you or me, right? We don't do this every day, you know, like, we appreciate it, we respect it, we know it, but we still just don't do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's still amazing.
Why we don't do it, yeah.
But even the people that do it every fucking day feel the same way. You know what I mean? Every time you get a glimpse of it, you're like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, and even if you do this all the goddamn time.
Oh, that's the truth.
No pun intended.
It never gets old, yeah. It never gets old. There's a couple, I'll just spill out everything I know about meditation. You can cut it up and use it, because it is knowledge I've wanted to share for a long time. You know?
Yeah, and introduce how you got into it.
All right. So, Brah. Yeah, so how I got into it, so basically,
so wait, hold on. Can we acknowledge how many females are here right now? What the fuck? There was a really beautiful one that just left, too.
Oh, wow. You're right, man.
There's two more.
Dude, it's raining. Maybe we ought to just get a pot of coffee and just go make our break in there.
Hey, ladies. Yeah, man. That was what you were doing last night at the bar. You had so much confidence. I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah. And then my confidence was just absolutely shattered.
With the bouncer?
Yeah, with the fucking... I'm surprised that guy didn't kick me out, dude. Like when you make eye contact, here we are just talking about, like, meditation, the core of humanity, and last night I'm blacked out at a bar just making eye contact with a bouncer that was giving me shit and just holding one of these right in his face. I can't believe it didn't turn into anything. It was ridiculous. Not my normal way of acting, but it was a special night last night. Yeah, I was out of my element.
I don't know, dude. I had no idea you were that drunk.
Apparently I was.
I had no idea you were that drunk. You were just so, like, just the same.
Oh yeah, it's.
I mean, I knew you had a few drinks, obviously, but I had no idea you were, like, not remembering, not, like, recording.
Yeah, no, the tape wasn't going. The tape was not recording much. Little snippets. I've been kind of laughing this morning as I remember each little snippet of the later part of the night.
Yeah.
So how I got into meditation. So personally for me, like, I was really in need of a change in life, you know. I was really at a low point in life, and I'll skip all that. But I really was, and I really needed to change my entire experience of life, like the way I experienced it. I needed to sort of, I really needed to turn a new leaf, but also I needed to kind of become a new person, and I didn't really think that was possible. You know, I was pretty, I felt pretty hopeless about that actually happening, or being able to happen.
When was this?
This was, it was a period. It was like my late teens, and it all shifted. Right. Well, I guess was I 21? Did I drink in? I think right about when I turned 21 is when I consciously made the shift. But basically, I was really getting quite hopeless, and then one night, I'm not sure if I'd eaten mushrooms or I just bought some mushrooms with a buddy, but coincidentally, and there's so many things that just happen in life when you need them that I think there's a lot more to it than coincidence. But coincidentally, I was in college at the time in Arizona, and I was clicking around just our like university free channels, and the movie What the Bleep Do We Know Down the Rabbit Hole came on. And
while you're on mushrooms?
I don't think I was on mushrooms, but my buddy had eaten his mushrooms. We had just bought a bag and split like a quarter or something. My buddy had eaten them, and I decided not to eat them that night, I guess. Or maybe I had a couple caps or something, I don't know, but nothing significant. And so I went up to his room and we watched, hours of this movie. And that really, anyway, later on I saw the whole movie or whatever, but that really gave me like a beacon of hope, so to speak, because in that movie they talk a lot about meditation. They exposed me to a lot of ideas about the universe and the world that I really was really stoked on, So that was one thing. But the main part of the movie that really got me thinking was this neuroscientist was talking about the changeability of your brain.
Dr. Amika Swami.
Not him.
Not him?
No. I think his first name's Joe. His last name starts with a D, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, like he really talked about like there was a lot of talk about like how your brain chemicals and your neurons like sort of dictate your experience of life, And then there was also a lot of talk about how your brain, it's like plasticity, how your neurons can actually dry up receptors and grow new receptors for different brain chemicals, and that your brain chemicals, and then your body can actually, or your brain, or whatever, can actually develop new and different chemicals depending on how you start using it, and then over time, if you do that work, then you can literally change who you are, like how you work, and your experience of life can literally change, and then your brain chemistry literally can shift, so you see things and experience things differently, and the world is literally a different place to you, and then things, of course, by the way you see things start to change. You act differently, you feel differently, and the world around you starts to change, and your life sort of starts becoming what you want it if you make a conscious effort to change your brain chemistry over time, And so I took that knowledge and I didn't change my brain chemistry right away. I kept throwing like copious amounts of cocaine and alcohol and Oxycontin into it for a while. But so later on, fast forward a few months, I was really at a pivot. Yeah, sorry, man. I didn't mean to go into such a big story. I could have summed this up in 10 seconds. But,
no, don't.
But
tell the story.
All right, yeah. So a few months later, I was really kind of pushing the boundaries of life, kind of pushing the edges of life, and acting pretty crazily, and just kind of seeing how far I could push it. And
like how?
On my, we'll get into that later. But yeah, that's for another time. Like maybe an anonymous fucking newsletter or something or whatever article.
Speaking about pushing the boundaries. Do you have the pipe? You gave it to me, right?
I think I gave it to you, man.
Uh-oh. We're without a vessel for pushing these boundaries.
Oh, no.
But it can't be far.
So...
Alright, sorry, go on.
No, it's alright.
Found it.
Oh, nice.
If I smoke, I'm gonna have to shit again.
Really? Even weed?
Dude, after,
drinking?
I just have a lot to shit out after last night.
Dude, we ate a lot yesterday. It was
a lot of spicy
speeding
shit.
marathon.
And we drank. I drank a lot too.
Yeah, I'm surprised I feel so good with how much I drank. I really drank a lot last night.
I mean, okay, so I'm gonna bring this up real quick. I don't want to interrupt you, but
No worries.
but I am. Like, based on last night and shit, and like feeling good and creating dissonance in my mind is like, dude, I know my body needs a fucking rest. You know, like I haven't had sleep. I've been doing all this shit to it. You know.
Yet
I'm still operating. It's still fine. I'm just like choosing not to like be a pussy about it or something.
Right.
But like, let's use. This is like an asshole thing to say, but let's use you for example, right?
Yeah.
You've been a lot more hardcore than me in the last couple weeks. You've been drinking a lot. You've been doing.
Well, I haven't been drinking much.
Well, no, but I mean, when I met you, you were, for example.
The Raj.
Right? Yeah, that era.
Indian bastards.
With Raj. That's so funny that you knew Raj.
Dude.
Of all the random guys to make a video with in Nepal.
That was so funny seeing like you already having a video of fucking Raj.
That's the perfect. That's the perfect cut. I'll cut to that video now and then.
Yeah, right. The jeweler.
Anyway.
The jeweler that tried to rope me into probably a pretty risky, potentially a pretty lucrative little tax evasion thing. Or maybe he would have just totally fucked me, and I would have like been out like $6,000. Who knows?
We'll never know.
But I would never have. Yeah. Anyway.
I like how you're looking at me and the camera at times. You switch.
Oh yeah.
No, it's kind of like you're talking to an audience and you're talking to me.
Right.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that interesting?
It is pretty weird. It's been tripping me out, but I'm becoming more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, fuck it.
Keep going with your story.
So basically, I was in this time period, and I needed to make a change, and the ideas I was exposed to through the What the Bleep Do We Know Down the Rabbit Hole movie, which literally, I can thank for being a catalyst to changing my life. They actually, good. They actually gave me, they gave me like a new way to look at things, and so fast forward a few months from that, I crashed. I got in a potentially very serious accident due to some bad decisions, and basically I was driving my truck.
Can you put this right next to you?
Sure.
And then let's pop it up like that.
Like right like this?
I think it'll record better just because of the range.
Okay. I can just hold it. It's no biggie.
Yeah, speak, talk.
Talk.
No, keep it down lower.
Talk.
I mean, if you can
Hello.
get it to stay, that'd be better.
Yeah.
I just think it'll record better if it's closer to you. Alright, talk.
Hello.
Just keep telling your story.
Okay. Yeah. You're gonna get actually. I'll just tell you like. I'll just keep on rambling and you can cut it up to what you will.
No, this whole thing is gonna be one podcast episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
All right. So
all of this is included.
Nice. All right. So I without going deep into the details of why and blah blah blah, I crashed my truck, and I almost rolled it down like a really serious embankment. I was towing a trailer. I fell asleep at the wheel. I hadn't gotten a lot of sleep at that point. I was on a road trip back to Alaska, and I came to, and my trailer was sliding down this embankment, and I was looking at probably like, I don't know, 200, 300 feet of like a really steep slope, and then a big forest of trees down below. And so I probably would have died had I gone off. And luckily, by some incredible luck, which I seem to have some lucky stars above my head.
And now you're talking to the mic too.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking to the mic. You're talking to the camera. You're talking to me.
I'm talking to the cat down here in my lap. There was this 2-prong metal sign that I slid into, and it disconnected my trailer and it sent me back on the road. And then I slid off on the other side of the road and crashed my truck. But I was fine. And if I had gone off the original side of the road, I started going off with that 2-prong sign in the middle of the Canadian nature, just hadn't placed me back on the road, I probably would have died. And so it was being Canada, they take their holidays seriously, so I was stuck there over a long weekend, so I had time to think, and I was like, all right, I took this new knowledge from the What the Bleep Do We Know movie, and I decided I had been sort of looking for a pivotal changing point, like kind of hitting a rock bottom, and I realized that I wasn't going to hit a rock bottom if I just kept living the way that I would be living, sort of pushing the boundaries of life, that I was eventually just going to die. My luck was going to run out, and so that's another lesson that I really feel it's a good one to portray to people is, you think when you're in a negative place in life that it's almost, some of us have a tendency to push it even further and further and further, getting deeper and deeper in, like looking for a rock bottom turning point. But, the reality of it is there's never a rock bottom. Like everybody decides for themselves when they're going to make this, all right, this is my rock bottom point, in this situation. And so starting tomorrow, starting right now, I'm going to turn it around and start pulling out of it,
So that's when you started meditating?
That's not when I started meditating, no, but that's when I just made a decision. All right, like I'm going to act on all this knowledge on what the belief do we know and start just trying to live positively and let my brain readapt, just go in the direction of up instead of down and see what happens, I'm just going to give it a good shot and see if my experience of life and awareness actually changes, see if I can literally change who I am and how I feel and stuff. And so that summer turned into the most powerful summer for me. I did just that, I just went home with a real positive attitude. I surrounded myself with the really good people, the people I wanted to be around, and I just started shifting I started going to the gym. I got in really good shape, I just started shifting the way I felt, my coin term at the time was like choose your addiction, because I have a pretty addictive personality, and you can choose your addiction to be mountain biking, or you can choose your addiction to be heroin. They both give you a similar buzz, even they work on the same receptors. And literally, when your brain starts to change, when you mountain bike every single day, you start to have more endorphin receptors, and you start to have more of the chemical. And then if you stop mountain biking, you literally crave that rush of those natural chemicals. It literally makes it, for a while, it stays, and then of course your brain starts to readapt to the current situation it's in. But for a while, like, you do have an addiction, a good one, And so anyway, I went home that summer and I did all that, and then in the fall, I was thinking, maybe I should give meditation a try. Just started kind of thinking it one day, and I was walking down the street, and my mom had sort of pressured me into taking a TM, Transcendental Meditation course, when I was, I don't know, pretty young, 11 years old, maybe 10 to 12 or something.
No shit.
And
a course?
Like an initiation, like it's like they just sort of teach you how to do it, and they give you
a week,
a mantra,
a month.
I don't even remember, man. I was so young, I don't even really remember. I remembered a few basic guidelines from it. That was it. I couldn't remember my mantra or anything. I didn't even really try to remember it. But this thought started. I was like, maybe I ought to do some kind of meditation or something, give it a try as a next step in development. And I was walking down the street one day, and I just remembered my mantra. It just popped into my head, and I was like, oh shit, there it is. All right. And so I laid down and just started repeating my mantra, and I didn't really know anything about meditation at the time. I might have remembered a few tips from what the lady told me that initiated me, a decade about before, so I was 21 at that time. And yeah, that first meditation was so powerful, man. I just sunk down like almost immediately and just started feeling this energy just like welding up inside of me, and it was actually really it was like a really profound / uncomfortable experience. I could almost compare it to the first time I ate an eighth of mushrooms, and when you're coming up, you feel this pressure, energy, or whatever, And so I kept up with meditating over the next few months, and there's this thing in meditation, people call it beginner's mind. And the thing about meditation is when you have expectations, when you expect an experience to happen, oftentimes that blocks you from actually sinking in. And the other thing about meditation is you're not really doing anything when you meditate. The goal of meditation is just to become aware and just see what's there inside, And so, naturally inside of us is that deep core of what we're made of, And so when you start sinking into that, it's almost like, I feel like, for me anyway, I feel like sometimes it's almost like there's a magnetic pull that almost pulls you. You don't have to know how to meditate. You just have to not have any expectations and not try. Just make it just effortless. You got to put a little attention to when your mind wanders, to bring it back, bring it back, and then relax and just observe. Or observe your mind like the clouds. But that's all the surface level of meditation. What it's really about is just starting to become aware of what's in there, and what it is and what's the nature of it. And so So beginner's mind. So it's often people have the most success when they first start meditating because they just look. You know, they're non-biased. They just look in, and all of a sudden they start to see, and kind of, yeah. So I think I had a lot of that going on, that beginner's mind, and so I started waking up. It literally was like a feeling of waking up and remembering something, you know, and that went on for about 4 months. Like I literally. I just felt like I was waking up in life, like coming out of a coma, like I had been asleep, and I was waking up to the nature of life. You know, it was really cool experience. And then I went out traveling for the winter, for another 4 or 5 months. And after a couple months of not practicing it or not doing meditation and stuff, it started to go away. You know, and I thought this change that I made, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna go back to sleep, quote unquote, in life. I'm always gonna feel this way. You know, I thought it was permanent, but it wasn't permanent. I've heard a lot of people, at least in the Maharishi, the guy who brought transcendental meditation to the United States, at least he says when you reach enlightenment, what it is it's that waking up feeling, that being aware of all that, but like it never goes away. And so, but my point is like maintenance. You know, you got to keep doing it, otherwise it's going to go away. You know, your brain's going to readapt to how you use it, you know, really. And yeah. Well, I wonder if there's anything else that I want to spill out to you, but that might cover a lot of it for sure.
I'm starting to crash.
Oh yeah.
I want to be comfortable here.
Yeah. What else? That might be it. Let me think for a minute. Yeah, I could talk a lot more interesting stuff that I've learned through the years if you want, but I don't have to, you know. That's kind of my take on meditation, I suppose.
We pretty much have almost an hour of this already, so
Plenty.
we're probably good.
Plenty, yeah.
Some good one-liners.
Yeah.
I want to use that bit. It's kind of hard to talk about on Xanax with a hangover.
Yeah, I'm sure I could.
No, I want to use that line.
Oh.
For a promo video or something.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm trying to like. That's the message. You know?
You want to capture people, the real people.
That's our generation. We're like exploring meditation and we're exploring fucking Xanax.
Yeah, we're fucking humans, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited. I wish I had this cat in my room.
Take it back, dude. I don't think it'll mind.
I don't think it'll notice.
Just sneak it out under your jacket.
48 minutes.
Cool, man.